All right, you guys, so welcome to my YouTube channel. So my name is Devin Atkins and I'm a licensed real estate agent on the beautiful island of Maui, and I am licensed with Caldwell Bankers. So basically what I'm going to get into in this video is the Minatoya Act. So for me, you guys, I specialize in Kihei and Wailea short-term rentals on this beautiful island. I do a ton of open houses in the Kihei and the Wailea area. So if you happen to see me and you see one of my videos, please just let me know, because it is encouraging when I have people who actually come to my open houses and say, hey, I've seen you on YouTube, or hey, I've seen you on Instagram, TikTok, whatever platform it is that you've seen me on. Just go ahead and let me know so that we can connect. And just let me know which video you saw. In this video, what we're gonna be talking about is the Minatoya Act. And what we're gonna be doing is we're gonna be diving a little bit deeper into this act and some of the vacation rental restrictions that you should know about when purchasing a property. So if you've ever thought about purchasing on Maui, and if you're considering a short-term rental, this is something that you're gonna wanna be educated about so that you have a better understanding of what it is that you're actually purchasing and what you're really getting into when it comes to making a decision to purchase a short-term rental property. All right, guys, so there are 3 markets that you should be aware of. Before we get into the actual content of the video, I want to inform you about these markets, because these markets are very, very important for you to understand and actually know about, so that you can figure out exactly which property that you want to identify yourself with by purchasing either a long-term rental, a mid-term rental, or even a short-term rental property. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and jump into my screen. All right, so here is a couple quick definitions of these types of markets that I was talking about. So basically a long-term rental market. So a long-term rental market in Maui is basically when people rent a house or apartment for a longer period of time, like maybe a few months or even a whole year. So instead of just staying for a short vacation, it's almost like renting a home away from home, but in a really beautiful place like Maui. So now a midterm rental market, this is probably one of my favorite markets because it offers a lot of features. It's like a hybrid in between the two of a long-term and a short-term rental. But basically what it is in Maui, it's like when people like traveling nurses, snowbirds, or even digital nomads that need a place to stay for a little while can basically rent a house or an apartment for a few weeks or a month, or even over that. What they can do is they can use this as a rental, as a home away from home while they work or explore Maui, whatever the case may be. It's like renting a vacation home, but for a little less time than a long-term rental. Now, the short-term rental market, which is what I specialize in. So a short-term rental market in Maui is basically when people can rent a house or apartment for just a few days, a week, for like pretty much any other family who goes on vacation ends up getting into one of these properties. And it's almost like staying in a hotel, but you get to have your own kitchen, your own living space, and it's like a home away from home. So it's a great way for people to get to enjoy all the beauty of Maui on a shorter trip, as you guys have probably experienced if you're watching this video. Alright, you guys, so I hope that was a good understanding of exactly the type of markets that are available to purchase or to get your hands in when it comes to Maui real estate. So now what we're going to jump into is the Minatoya Act and how it came about and where we're currently at today, to this date. For those of you who do not know, in 1989, it was actually considered the Wild Wild West.
I'm playing Wild Wild West.
In the sense of when it came to the apartment zoning districts on Maui. So if you guys do not know, Maui is a very popular tourist destination where a lot of people come to vacation, live part-time, or even choose to live full-time. So with that being said, you guys, Maui is a very popular tourist destination. And you could see why these apartment zoning districts would want short-term rentals. Let's rewind it a little bit. So back in the 1980s, there was a lot of money coming into Maui specifically for the reason to develop vacation rentable units. So fast forward about 9 years or so, in 1989, the Maui County Council actually got together. They didn't really want short-term rentals in the apartment zoning districts. Now, in doing this, what they attempted to do was to get rid of it completely, the short-term transient vacation rentals. What they didn't realize in their attempts to actually get rid of these properties, they actually ended up grandfathering in a lot of properties on Maui. In their attempts to actually get rid of transient vacation rentals in the apartment zoning districts. So what happened in 1990 is it didn't really work out well for them, and they just kind of gave up on it. Because what happened is they had a failed attempt to actually get rid of all the transient vacation rentals, and they actually failed at their attempt to draft the law the first time.
Failure.
Now, fast forward to 2001, there's a big push again to go ahead and get rid of transient vacation rentals in the apartment zoning districts at that time. So basically, to sum this portion up a little bit, is the whole goal of the Minatoya Act and just the act, and the act in general, is just to get rid of the transient vacation rentals in the apartment zoning districts. So now to the Minatoya Act. So in 2001, Mayor Kimo Opana asked Richard Montoya, the deputy corporation counselor at the time, to research this and go ahead and come up with his opinion. And in hopes of this opinion, his opinion, or the opinion in general, was to determine if Maui can actually get rid of transient vacation rentals in the apartment zoning districts. So after his research, Richard Montoya came back and he basically said that there are a couple of criteria that actually meet the transient vacation rental standards by, so if the property was built or permanent before 1989, and also if it had historical transient vacation rental use before in the past. So if it met this certain type of criteria, you were actually considered a vested owner in the property and actually had the vested rights in order to be in the apartment zoning district as a short-term transient vacation rental. Now, full disclosure, you guys, so I am not a lawyer by any means. I am a licensed real estate agent, and this is just a blanket statement that I'm using and creating so you guys are a little bit more educated in the short-term rental market and also the Minatoya Act as well. So you're supposed to take this with a grain of salt because every situation is unique and has individual circumstances that play a role in a property. Now, due to this, there have been a lot of pushes to actually reverse the Minatoya opinion, and a lot of them have actually been unsuccessful. Now, fast forward from 2001 to 2014, RAM, the Realtors Association of Maui, has worked diligently to get this bill in the Maui County Code. In 2014, the County Council actually included in the apartment district the permitted uses in the Maui County Code and are codifying in the Minatoya opinion, and is 100% a permitted use to operate a transient vacation rental if it meets certain criteria. In 2020, a bill was actually drafted to all three of the county planning departments, and the intent was that there were zoning districts and a few thousand units that could technically convert to a transient vacation rental. So the planning department then came to RAM and actually met with the stakeholders and informed them about the bill. And they basically said that this is a good idea to go ahead and preserve the housing and the rights that those homeowners had a vested interest in those properties and were not actually being stripped of those rights. Because if you're not using your rights, you technically can be stripped of them if you're not using them. Because you as an owner technically never had a vested right because you've never done it before in your particular property. So keep that in mind, you guys. If you don't use it, you lose it. So the planning department goes ahead and agrees with it. And everyone's all happy with rainbows and butterflies and all that wonderful stuff. And fast forward to 2020. So a transmission actually goes out to the planning department, to the county council to actually be assigned to a committee. This transmission actually included a bill that appeared to be the Minatoya loophole that everybody had signed off on. The one problem here was that it was actually a bait and switch. And that wasn't actually the bill that was discussed. It was some other bill that was well intended, but if passed, it would have stripped a lot of people of their property rights and actually would have regulated transient vacation rental usage to a unit by use basis and actually would have blindsided tens of thousands of properties and homeowners. So in doing this had everyone do a double take of exactly what was in the bill. And they actually came back with a bill that preserved property rights for those who had a vested interest in those properties. This being done was a huge win for those who actually were holding those properties and had that vested interest in those particular properties. And what this did is it actually preserved the housing for thousands of people. The whole purpose of the Minatoya Act, just to sum this up, is that they were just making sure that there wasn't an abuse of the zoning rules and actually making sure that the rights of the vested properties were being preserved due to the lack of foresight that nobody could have seen when the bill was originally created. Now, I know that not everyone agrees with the Minatoya Act, but what people fail to understand is that it actually brings a substantial amount of money to the county of Maui. So as any other county, you guys, Maui County needs the money just as any other county on the mainland. Also, you guys, it's very important to note that those properties that are actually in the Minatoya Act actually pay a high tax rate as well. So probably one of the most important things to actually understand about the Minatoya Act is simply this, that the people who actually decided to purchase a property, these individuals actually made an investment into a property on Maui based on the simple fact that they had a vested right and a vested interest to them to actually use it as a transient vacation rental. Now, this is super important to note because the government does not have the right to change the rules on people in general, whether that be transient vacation rentals or even residential properties. To sum it up, basically you as a buyer, if you are looking to purchase one of these properties and you went in with the intention to make it as an investment for you and your family to use it as a transient vacation rental or vacation rental, however you want to look at it, the government basically was allowing you to do this. And basically the government does not have the right to pull the rug from under you and strip you of those vested rights that you have as a property owner in that particular property.
Illegal!
Now, with that being said, you guys, I hope this video was very informative on what the Minatoya Act is and kind of what it stands for and the reason and the purpose for it. Now, if you or anyone you know actually owns a vacation rental or are curious about exactly the particular property that you are in, if it was grandfathered in, or if you are curious about purchasing a property that you're hoping is on the Minatoya Act and that they will not come after, feel free to go ahead and reach out to me, because if you are interested in purchasing a property or you are curious about the property that you currently own, if it's still in the Minatoya Act or if this is going to affect you later on down the line, please just go ahead and reach out to me here. I have my contact information right here. You can also reach out to me on any of my social media platforms, and feel free to go ahead and smash that subscribe button. Also, go ahead and feel free to like this video as well so that I can keep you informed and it helps the algorithm. But with that being said, you guys, my name is Devin Atkins. I am a licensed realtor with Caldwell Banker. I specialize in Kihei and Wailea short-term rentals. So if you guys are interested in purchasing anything along those lines in those particular areas with short-term rentals in mind, go ahead and comment down below and let me know exactly what it is that you're looking for or any questions that you have so that I can go ahead and educate you and the rest of the people who are watching this video. So with that being said, you guys, my name is Devin Atkins. Once again, God bless and aloha.